I've been in a relationship with a younger guy for half a year. I've spent nearly $500,000 on my little boyfriend. But he never takes me to meet his classmates. And he pretends to be single on his moments. Just because I'm 8 years older than him. He thinks I'm old. One day, my boyfriend forgot to hang up the voice call. I heard his school grass roommate commenting on me. 8 years older? Even a dog wouldn't date someone like that. Fine. I remembered this cold voice. Later, on an ordinary evening, that school grass stopped my car and asked me to help him. I said, I can help you. But first you have to act like a dog. School grass. At this moment, the young school grass doesn't know yet. He is not far from being devastated by an older sister. I had a 10-minute video call with Wyatt. He started to get impatient. Sister, I'm sleepy. Let's call it a day. Without waiting for my answer, he quickly cut off the video. But he forgot to hang up the voice call. I heard him talking to someone. Hurry up. 5-player team. I invited a younger schoolmate girl. His roommate teased, dating is so tiring. You might as well break up. Wyatt replied, sisters are clingy. I can't get rid of her. Lies. Obviously. He is the one who refuses to break up. Because he can't bear to part with my money. I poured a glass of red wine and continued to listen. Wyatt's roommate was still laughing at him. You are determined not to take her out to play. Is it because the rich woman is too old to be shown off? Wyatt didn't deny it. They entered the game. Wyatt invited a younger schoolmate girl. The younger schoolmate girl is very good at being coquettish and kept praising Wyatt's limited edition skin as handsome. Wyatt waved his hand grandly, and said he would buy one for her. Of course. He used the pocket money I gave him. After one round, the younger schoolmate girl happily went to sleep. As soon as she quit, the topic in the boys' dormitory returned to me again. Someone suddenly spoke up. Scott. What's your opinion? What opinion? What's your view on Wyatt's relationship with an older woman who is 8 years older? There was silence for 2 seconds. A cold voice rang out. 8 years older? Even a dog wouldn't date someone like that. I'm a bit of a voice control freak. Among so many younger guys back then, I chose Wyatt precisely because of his nice voice. But at this moment, I was distracted. Scott. I remember this person. Wyatt's roommate. I heard he is a school grass. He doesn't talk much but is very popular among girls. When Wyatt mentions him, there is always jealousy hidden in his tone. Scott has good grades and outstanding looks. Such a person is the focus everywhere he goes. Standing beside him, Wyatt is reduced to a supporting role. But surprisingly, Scott comes from a poor family. Wyatt's arrogance doesn't allow him to be a supporting role to a poor person. I didn't expect that Scott has this kind of voice. It suits my taste even more than Wyatt's voice. It should sound even better when he pants. I cut off the voice call and had a plan in mind. My little boyfriend is not obedient. Then change. 3. I like dating younger guys. First, I'm busy with work and want emotional value. Second, younger guys are full of vigor. I can enjoy it. Including Wyatt. I've dated 11 younger guys. It can form a football team. I'm never stingy in spending money on younger guys. In the half year I've been dating Wyatt, I've spent nearly $500,000. He is all dressed in famous brands. All bought by me. This $500,000 is very important to him. It can make him swagger on campus and also attract the admiration of many younger schoolmate girls for him. But for me, it's just one less bag to buy. I pay the money and the younger guy provides the effort. This is very fair. But I never expected it. Wyatt, who has always been well behaved in front of me, secretly dislikes our age difference so much. That's just fine. I'm also tired of playing. On the weekend, it's Wyatt's birthday. He holds a birthday party in my villa. I didn't arrive until 9 o'clock in the evening. The party has been going on for a while and it's very lively. Wyatt lost the game and was punished to do push-ups. But it's not ordinary push-ups. A junior female student is lying under him, shyly covering her face. With each fall of Wyatt, he is almost about to kiss the junior female student. The whole audience is making a commotion. Kiss. Kiss. Wyatt. Are you capable or not? A man can't say he's not capable. Wyatt was provoked. At the last moment, his body was pressed extremely low. It seems that he is about to kiss. I opened the door of the villa, and just saw this scene. For everyone quieted down and looked at me curiously. Wyatt was stunned. His originally flushed face gradually lost its color. You? Why are you here? This is my house. Can't I come? Didn't you work overtime tonight? After overtime work, I come to celebrate your birthday. I kicked off my red-bottomed high heels and walked in freely. Someone whispered, Brother Wei, isn't this house yours? Yes. You said this house was given to you by your parents. Wyatt pursed his lips and said guiltily. She is my sister. I smiled. I didn't refute. 5 college students usually don't have any bad intentions. After Wyatt finished speaking, they enthusiastically made room for me. Damn. Wyatt. Your sister is so beautiful. Why haven't you mentioned her before? Wyatt. Your sister has better genes than you. She looks like a star. Sister. There is an empty seat here. What juice do you drink? I'll pour it for you. Thank you. After I sat down, I glanced at Scott. He doesn't get along with Wyatt. Wyatt invited him today purely to show off. He is squeezed in the corner, doesn't interact with others, and seems to be uninterested in anything. I joined the game and was quickly named by the king. The king asked me to choose a male in the scene and have a safe kiss. The so-called safe kiss is to kiss for 10 seconds through a playing card. Wyatt looked at me. His expression angled. He doesn't want to admit our relationship. And he doesn't want to see me kiss other boys. When he is hesitating whether to stand up actively, my gaze directly passed over him and pointed to Scott on the side. It's you. 6 Wyatt stood up abruptly. No. Why not? You can't choose him. I'll complete this punishment with you. Don't joke. We are siblings. How can we do such a disgusting thing? That's right. You. This younger brother. Step aside. Wyatt. Could it be that you are a sister con? Everyone agreed one after another, expressing that they couldn't accept it. With a sneer in my heart, I pretended to be helpless. Really not. Younger brother. Mom and dad will beat us to death. Wyatt's face is full of complex expressions. This lie was told by him. Now it's too late to explain. Scott didn't say a word throughout, until he was pushed in front of me. The young man lifted his eyelids, and his voice was lazy. You are not Wyatt's sister, he said in a voice only I could hear. You are his girlfriend. You know. I looked at him with a smile. So, are you excited? Scott let out a contemptuous snort. I'm not interested in other people's girlfriends. It doesn't matter. As long as I'm interested in you. Scott was slightly stunned. I had already picked up a playing card and pressed it against his lips. Before he could react, I gently kissed him. 7 Wyatt. From now on, Scott is your brother-in-law. After the game ended, everyone teased like this. Wyatt clenched his fist. His gaze was gloomy as he looked back and forth between me and Scott. Subsequently, in retaliation, he continuously blocked drinks for the junior female student. He even deliberately acted very ambiguous with the junior female student. He thought that this could make me give in. Too naive. Wyatt still doesn't know that in this relationship, he has no say at all. As soon as the birthday party ended, I directly proposed breaking up with Wyatt. Wyatt was ashamed and angry. Serena, were you deliberately doing this tonight? You clearly know that I hate Scott the most. You can play games with the junior female student, and I can also play games with your roommate. It's very fair. The junior female student is a bit socially anxious. There is no one she knows at the scene today. It's only right that I take care of her. Don't insult socially anxious people. A socially anxious person wouldn't lie under a boy in front of so many people. Serena. Don't think about my junior female student with your dirty mind. Looking at Wyatt. It's really hard for me to connect him with the gentle and obedient him at the beginning. He didn't suddenly go bad. He just did it well at the beginning. I said. Then you can continue to take care of her. What do you mean? It means that we break up. Wyatt was stunned for a moment but quickly laughed. Are you using breaking up to be angry with me? You know. I don't fall for this. Whether you fall for it or not has nothing to do with me. Security guards. As soon as the words fell, several security guards rushed in and directly dragged Wyatt out. I won't hold you accountable for holding a party in my room without permission and making a mess for now. If there's a next time, I will directly call the police. Wyatt, are you kidding me? Do you know what the consequences of calling the police will be? I interrupted Wyatt's words. It will be reported to your school. Your counselor can't help you suppress it even if they want to. I will do my best to make your report appear in every corner of the school. Even in the media. If you don't believe me, let's try. Don't. Wyatt finally understood that I wasn't joking. He stared at me resentfully. His eyes full of unwillingness. Break up then. I've wanted to break up for a long time. Who the hell wants to date an old woman? Serena. Look at you. You dress so naturally every day. You have no youthful vitality at all. Isn't it just because you have a little money? I only feel happy when I'm with the junior female student. In that case, take off all the clothes I bought. Without a word, the security guards began to take off Wyatt's clothes. In the end, only a pair of underpants were left on him. I ignored Wyatt's abuse and said, "You opened my wine tonight. Totaling $600,000. The bill will be sent to your school later. I hope you pay it back soon. Otherwise, we'll see each other in court." Serena. You. I raised my phone, pretending to call the police station. He closed his mouth in fear. Get lost. Annoying thing. After saying this, I turned and went back into the room. The early spring night is not very warm. For a guy like him who regards money as dirt, he must be able to walk back to school barefoot. Right? Wyatt quickly got together with the junior female student. I heard that he also wants to help the junior female student apply for social sponsorship. The so-called social sponsorship means that entrepreneurs come to the school to do charity. They choose one impoverished student and sponsor them until graduation. This kind of thing doesn't happen often. And there is only one spot. The final round of screening is an interview. Wyatt waited in the classroom with the junior female student. He vowed, "I'm very familiar with the cadres of the student union. This time you are almost certain to succeed." The junior female student lowered her voice. "But we forged our family background. Isn't this not good? Don't worry. No one will check." He affectionately put his arm around the junior female student. "All the connections have been made for you. Don't you trust me yet?" As he spoke, the other candidates arrived one after another. Among them was Scott. He found a corner and sat alone. His thin back looked very frail. A junior female student glanced at him. "I heard that Senior Shen's family is really in great difficulty." "What's the use of being in difficulty? He has no connections, and if he doesn't find someone to handle things, the quota won't be his," Wyatt said proudly. But he didn't know. Everyone's every word and action was broadcast to the next office by a miniature camera. From the moment they entered this classroom, the funding assessment had begun. Wyatt was still spouting nonsense. "I have carefully polished your resume and background to ensure it's flawless. Those rich people are so busy that they won't look closely. When the funder comes later, you just cry. The more pitiful you are, the better." In the office, the school leader was sweating profusely. "Ms. Song, I didn't know these two students were like this. I'll go and drive them away now." "No need," I said casually. "The interview can be over." "Okay. This way please." In the classroom, Wyatt was still instructing the junior female student. The school leader pushed open the door. The funder is here. They immediately had their eyes shining and looked towards the door. I walked in, facing their gazes. 9. This is Ms. Serena, one of the shareholders of the Song Corporation. Wyatt's eyes widened. I had told him earlier that I did some business on my own and had a little money. I didn't tell him about my connection with the Song Corporation. Naturally, he hadn't checked it online either. The junior female student whispered. Senior. So the connection you mentioned is your sister. Wyatt broke out in a cold sweat. According to his instructions, the junior female student began to force out tears. Looking at her dry acting skills, I found it inexplicably funny. Why are you crying? Sister Song. My family is in difficulty. Don't act anymore. The interview is already over. The junior female student was stunned. Oh, over? I asked someone to project on the blackboard. I showed all the scenes that had been captured, including what Wyatt said. From the moment you entered the classroom, the interview has already begun. The school leader was so angry that he slapped the table. For some students who fabricate backgrounds and attempt to cheat for funding, the school will hold them accountable. There will be no tolerance. The junior female student was stunned. In the next second, she cried. This time it was real crying, not acting. I announced the list of funded students. It was a girl from the College of Liberal Arts. Everyone was a bit surprised. Her grades were not the best. Scott seemed more suitable than her. But I checked the backgrounds of these students. If there was no funding from me, this girl would have to drop out and go home next semester, marry an old man and earn betrothal gifts for her younger brother. She worked and studied day and night, just to get rid of that leech-like family. I saw her determination. So I was willing to help her change her destiny. I signed a funding agreement with the girl, and listened to the school's apology for half an hour. After everything was done, it was already evening. Just as I was about to leave, Scott suddenly stopped my car. Is the quota not considered again? 10. I really need this opportunity. Please consider it again. Scott didn't seem to be good at asking for help. His knuckles were turning white due to nervousness. I shook my head. The agreement has been signed and cannot be changed. I'm really short of money now. I know. Your mother is seriously ill. I did background checks on everyone. Scott's background was also quite pitiful. He was from a single-parent family. His mother raised him. Before she could live a good day, she fell ill. Now, there isn't even money for treatment. Scott said. I've put all my tuition and scholarships into medical expenses. Without financial support, I can only drop out next semester. I express my regret. But there are hundreds if not thousands of students like you. Over the years, I have been quietly engaged in public welfare. The number of impoverished students I have sponsored is more than he can imagine. It is not uncommon to see cases where elders are seriously ill and can't afford tuition and medical expenses. Scott lowered his eyes, hiding the embarrassment in his gaze. On Wyatt's birthday party that day, you said you were interested in me. Did I say that? I pretended to be surprised. I forgot. He bit his lip tightly, as if still struggling with his self-esteem. If you have nothing else, I'll leave first. Wait. Suddenly, Scott grabbed the car window, as if he had made up his mind. I'll do whatever Wyatt can do if you take me. I was just waiting for this sentence. I curved my lips into a smile. Then I have to try it first. 77. Scott went to my house. To ease his nervousness and uneasiness, I opened a bottle of wine for him. After drinking alcohol, he became much bolder. He reached out to unbutton my clothes. His movements were without order and a bit impatient. I said, "It's not undone like this." Scott, haven't you been in a relationship? No. He was a bit embarrassed. This is my first time. No wonder your hands are so clumsy. Stimulated, he suddenly used his teeth. As if venting his anger. He bit open the last button. The cold lips brushed against my back, arousing a wave of heat. Scott trembled. His legs were close to my skin. So hot, I said, considering that he had no experience. I was quite patient and said, "Let me tell you what to do." But before I could finish speaking, Scott blocked my words in my throat with a kiss. The kiss was also without order, almost reckless. But his breathing became more and more rapid. It is said that boys are self-taught and have natural talent in some things. Scott is like this. After the initial greenness, he quickly grasped the rhythm and became familiar. The young and lean waist of the teenager was like a mountain range, moving rapidly. It could even be called fierce. He picked me up and changed to the table. "This is the desk where I work at home." Scott picked up a pen and gently slid it across my coccyx. The metal was cold. As soon as it touched my skin, I almost cried out. "Sister, have you and Wyatt done it here?" I shook my head. He smiled contentedly. The low panting in my ear became the best catalyst. I really can't get tired of Scott's voice. In the morning, Scott finally let me go. When I woke up from my nap, he was still beside me. I asked, "Why don't you go back to school? You haven't given me an answer yet." "What answer?" After the alcohol had worn off, he returned to his cold and self-controlled appearance. Only in his half-lowered eyes was his shyness hidden. "Am I qualified?" "Qualified." I jumped out of bed. Ouch. My legs were a bit weak, having dated more than a dozen younger guys. Scott is one of the rare ones who can make my legs weak. "I'll cover all your expenses, including your mother's medical expenses, your tuition, and living expenses. In the afternoon, I will arrange for your mother to be transferred to a private hospital and stay in a VIP ward." "Thank you." "No need to thank me. More work. More pay." Scott began to think about the meaning of more work, more pay. As he said he understood, he took off his shirt, pressed me on the bed again, and buried his head downward. Youth is really great. 12 I have spent some time with Scott. Unexpectedly. We can talk very well. We are like a pair of friends who feel it's a pity to have met so late. Scott has also changed from being on guard against me to trusting me. He often suffers from insomnia in the dormitory. On the contrary, he can have a good sleep when he is by my side. The matter of Wyatt and the junior girl faking their backgrounds has spread throughout the school. On the day of the interview, there were many people in the classroom. It's hard for them not to become popular. I heard that the two had a falling out. The junior girl blamed Wyatt for giving a bad idea. If it weren't for Wyatt's instigation, she wouldn't have planned to do this originally. And Wyatt has become the target of public criticism and is ostracized and isolated by the whole school. Both of them have been given demerits, which will be carried with their files for life. Wyatt still owes me money for wine and has to sell the things I bought for him. When Scott told me this, I was applying medicine to him. Wyatt was furious and blamed everything on Scott. He also injured him. As I applied the medicine, I felt distressed and said, "I'm so angry. I'm so angry. I want to call the police and arrest him." "Call the police? There's no need. I'm not seriously injured. It has nothing to do with whether the injury is serious. I just can't swallow this anger." Scott looked at me and didn't say a word. I poked his face. "What are you in a daze for? Are you angry? Angry for me? Nonsense. Are you stupid?" Scott is not stupid. He is just a bit dazed. His family background is not good and he is from a single-parent family. He has been bullied a lot before. School bullying is also a common occurrence. So he has long been used to it. This is the first time that someone is angry for him. This feeling is very strange. It's like something is expanding in the atrium. Sour and long-lasting. Scott suddenly pulled me onto his lap. "Wait a minute. I haven't finished applying the medicine yet," I said. He didn't listen and kissed me randomly. His hand was on my leg and it was not honest either. It reached into my skirt all the way. Ouch. Scott. What's wrong with you? He is exceptionally proactive today. I don't know. I don't know, he said in a daze. It seems that only kissing you can calm me down. The medicine bottle fell to the ground. In the end, he turned this kiss into a more in-depth action. 13 weeks later, I accompanied Scott to participate in a competition. He likes road cycling very much, but due to the burden of his family, he can only be an audience. This is the first time that he participates in a competition as an amateur rider. Although he doesn't even have a decent racing bike. The competition quota was stuffed in by me through asking someone. The bike was also given by me to him. This is a friendly competition. Scott participated for the first time and his result was unexpectedly good. He ran to me with the Excellent Participation Award. Look, I was talking to the organizers. There are several of my friends among the organizers. Serena, what's your relationship with this contestant? My friends looked at us curiously. Is he your boyfriend? Your boyfriend is very handsome. In the speculation. Suddenly someone sneered. How is it possible? Looking at his ill-fitting clothes. Can Serena like him? I know this person who speaks sarcastically. I once went on a blind date with this man and finally I politely refused him. I heard that the other party is very concerned about face and has been holding a grudge until now. Scott's racing suit is borrowed from a classmate. It is indeed not very fitting. Scott looked at the other party's straight suit and subconsciously wanted to cover his hem. I'll go aside first. He was afraid of embarrassing me, and was about to turn around and leave. But I grabbed him firmly. Yeah. He is my boyfriend. I pulled Scott in front of my friends. My tone full of pride. 14 All my friends were stunned. Especially that petty man. Looking incredulous. What's so good about him? He's good in every way. I just like him. When words don't click. Half a sentence is too much. I took my leave from my friends and left first with Scott. On the way home, Scott came to his senses. Sister, why did you say that just now? Say what? You said I am your boyfriend, aren't I? Scott was stunned for a moment. I thought I was just a not presentable canary? Stop being self-based. Scott, you have excellent grades and outstanding appearance. It would be a pity if you weren't a boyfriend. Moreover, when did I say you were just a canary? He was somewhat moved. Really? Really? You are the 12th younger brother I've dated and also the one I like the most. 12? Boobs. I accidentally said it out. I quickly tried to make up for it. I will invite my good friends to have a meal at home in a few days and officially introduce you to everyone then. For me, there is no difference whether it's a boyfriend or a canary. But Scott longs to be respected in his heart. Then I will give him respect. After arriving home, the men's clothing I ordered was also delivered. I said to Scott, "Here. Go and try it on. Next time if you have no clothes to wear, be sure to tell me. I can borrow from someone." Scott glanced at the tag. This is too expensive. I was amused. The younger brothers I dated before all clamored to buy new clothes. The more expensive the better. Only Scott, when given something, still thinks it's expensive. I gently touched his abdominal muscles with my fingertip. If you think it's expensive, then find a way to pay me back. Scott lowered his head and kissed my fingertip devoutly. I just finished a competition. I'll take a bath. Go ahead. But he didn't let go of my hand. Looking at me with his black, moist eyes. Let's take a bath together. Without waiting for my answer, Scott directly picked me up and turned into the bathroom. This was the longest bath I've ever taken. Every part of me, every corner, was taken care of by Scott. I found that he had become naughty. He was no longer like at the beginning. Because of shyness, he only knew to bury his head and exert force. Now he not only tests but also observes my reaction. Does sister like this place? Or this place? As soon as he spoke, a tingling current rushed through my brain. We were already very familiar with each other. But he pretended not to understand and deliberately asked me. As long as I nodded, he would let me feel his recklessness. Sister, among the 12 people, am I the one you like the most? Yes. I like you the most. I don't know how long it had passed. Scott. I really have no strength left. I leaned weakly in the bathtub, feeling like I was about to melt. But Scott said, "You hold on to me. You don't need to exert force." Continue? Yes. It's not enough. He sucked my earlobe and said, "Sister. Actually, during the day, I thought of this scene. I was stunned. When? When I rode to the finish line and found you waiting for me." Scott's voice was very low and gentle. "I didn't get a ranking. But you were sincerely happy for me. At that moment, looking at you, I had a strong impulse. I want to blend you into my body and give you everything I have." After saying that, as if he was a little shy, he bowed his head and kissed me deeply. My whimpers and my joys were all swallowed by the young man. 15 Scott also didn't know what exactly his words meant. It's not exactly a confession. But it's better than a confession. At the very beginning, he only regarded Serena as a boss. He had never thought about having a relationship with an older woman. Originally, he thought it would be a very difficult thing. But when he spent the night with her for the first time, he was surprised to notice the changes in his heart and body. He didn't need to deliberately arouse himself. The sea of desire was already surging. Those irresistible looks were not faked. He liked it when her cheeks were slightly flushed and she gradually lost herself in his arms. He also liked to see her calm and composed, handling everything with ease at ordinary times. Scott thought that this was just the after effect of a physiological impulse. Or maybe he actually liked this type of older woman. It was only when he met Serena that it was uncovered. But, things gradually got out of control. They got along so well. Serena was like a spiritual companion he had missed for many years. Their bodies were also extremely compatible. When he couldn't see her, he began to miss her. He missed her sharp and glamorous eyebrows and eyes, and thought of the black stockings and high heels under her skirt. Scott always had to take a cold shower. This was very abnormal. Sometimes, when staying by Serena's side and doing nothing, just smelling the light perfume on her body, Scott would feel that the world was so beautiful. Until today, he learned that he was only the 12th. Jealousy and possessiveness instantly erupted. Am I the best one? Will she like me the most? These questions lingered in his mind. Finally, they turned into a tooth mark on his shoulder and a murmur by his ear. He heard Serena say, "Yes, I like you the most." At that moment, his heart swelled full, and his whole body felt like an electric shock. Even if he died on the spot, it seemed worth it. Serena had bought him many gifts. Scott suddenly also wanted to give her one as a token of love. He calculated carefully. Only 8 years older. Just right. He would work hard. She just hoped that she wouldn't think he was childish. 16 Scott became very busy. He picked up part-time jobs and work again. He said that he didn't want to always spend my money. He wanted to earn money to buy things for me. This was really very novel. I had never seen such a younger brother. I asked my best friend Yvonne. She gasped, "Serena, this younger brother is going to cling to you." What? Obviously. He doesn't want to be just your kept man. Is that so? I thought he was tired of it and was going to pay back the money and run away. I'm really speechless with you, Yvonne said helplessly. If he really wanted to run away, he wouldn't buy you things. At present, there is only one possibility. He wants to be officially by your side. You understand so well. Well, to be honest, mine is. As she was speaking, Yvonne's boyfriend came over with drinks. A 188 cm all-handsome guy. Once upon a time, he was also one of the little puppy dogs around Yvonne. Now, he is already her fiancé. Yvonne said to her boyfriend. Quickly tell Serena what you did when you completely fell in love with me. Her boyfriend counted on his fingers. Study, work, and earn money. If I want to be worthy of Yvonne, I have to have enough strength. That's right. That's it. Yvonne bit the straw and spoke earnestly. In my opinion, your Scott is just entering this stage. I smiled and didn't quite believe it. After all, Scott had said with his own mouth that he wouldn't date someone 8 years older. I had originally planned to have a meal with Yvonne and then leave. She glanced at her phone halfway, and suddenly called out to me. Serena, is your Scott called Scott? Yes. What's wrong? Look at this. She looked very serious and pushed her phone in front of me. This is a live broadcast. An old man with grizzled hair is standing on the top floor. In tears. He is holding a photo in his hand. Dear netizens, take a good look. This is my unfilial son, Scott. If I die today, it's all because of him. A number of viewers in the live broadcast room has been soaring. I took a look at the barrage of comments and roughly understood what had happened. This old man claims to be Scott's biological father. He said that Scott is indifferent and pays no attention to his relatives. Scott's elder brother is seriously ill. The old father is desperate and asks him for help. But he avoids seeing him. Helplessly, the old man goes up to the rooftop and threatens to die. The name Scott quickly rushed to the hot search list of short video platforms. Many netizens are filled with righteous indignation. I can't stand this kind of unfilial son the most. Living is just a waste of air. Found it. From the finance department of a university. The school has been officially notified. Waiting for a handling result. I feel sorry for the old man. This is really being driven to a dead end. TAT. Some people are relatively calm. I suggest that everyone don't take sides easily. Aren't there many reversals these days? Quietly say. This old man has been live broadcasting for a long time, and has been constantly enumerating his son's faults. But he hasn't taken a single step forward. However, they are soon sprayed by people in groups. Do you have any conscience? The old man can hardly survive. How can there be a reversal? 666. You must be the same kind of person as Scott. Public opinion is like a beast tide. Fierce and cruel. I won't eat anymore. I am going to go home immediately. Yvonne. Before I leave, I want to ask you for a favor. Understood. There is a kind of tacit understanding between Yvonne and me. Without me saying it. She knows. This kind of suicide live broadcast doesn't conform to platform regulations. I'll find someone to see if I can close the live broadcast room first. Thanks. 15 minutes later. I arrive home. Scott doesn't have classes today. The curtains at home are all drawn, giving off a kind of decadent air. He is sitting on the carpet. Hearing me come back. He doesn't react. I don't waste words and ask directly. Is Leonard your father? Yes. The answer is a bit unexpected. You told me that you only have a mother and no father. I lied. I'm sorry. I sit cross-legged next to him. Tell me what's going on. Aren't you angry? He is a bit surprised. Listen to your explanation first, and then decide whether to be angry or not. I smile at him. We sisters are all relatively rational, and won't lose our temper randomly. Scott purses his lips and begins to speak. That man is the nightmare of me and my mother. I am a child born out of wedlock. It's quite common. A bastard. No. It's a bit different. Taking a deep breath, Scott said slowly. My mother was raped. I instantly widened my eyes. I can't believe what I hear and I don't dare to repeat that word. When she was 18, she was raped by a man almost 40 and got pregnant. Because she was poor and didn't go to college. She didn't know how to protect herself either. So she gave birth to me in a daze. Scott Stone is very calm. As if this matter has been pressing on his heart and torturing him for 20 years. Leonard has never taken care of us. Never. He even threatened us that if we dared to destroy his family, he would die with us. He is a very extreme person. How could a man who can commit a crime like rape have reason? My mother was afraid that he would really do something to me. So she had to take me and leave that city and live elsewhere. Then why did he suddenly come to you now? Kidney transplant. His son has uremia. He wants me to get a tissue typing. If it matches, give one of my kidneys to his son. If I don't agree, today's situation happens. I feel chilled all over. Is this still a human being? This is a dirty and despicable leech without even the most basic humanity. I try hard to think of countermeasures. Judging from today's live broadcast, there is a promoter behind him. The stunt is very sufficient and can be called professional. Yes. I feel it too. What are you going to do now? I don't know. I thought about clarifying. But that would mean that I must disclose what happened to my mother. For elders, this is a difficult hurdle. Scott loves his mother very much and must not want to do this. Sister, let's part ways, he said dejectedly. It's no longer a secret that I'm with you. Leonard will find you sooner or later. I don't want to drag you down. Not at all. 19 I didn't agree to Scott's proposal. My little dog was bullied outside. What I need to do is help him fight back instead of abandoning him. Yvonne has found someone and temporarily blocked Leonard's live broadcast room. He changed to posting graphic and video content. The text is extremely incendiary. I definitely don't believe there is no promoter. If there is a promoter, it will be easier. Within 3 days, the promoter company will be revealed. Under the strong pressure of the Song family, this company immediately decided not to cooperate with Leonard anymore. After losing the promoter, Leonard posted things by himself and was found by netizens to have many contradictions and incoherent remarks. It's not over yet. With my encouragement, Scott still released a clarification. Only the part about what happened to his mother was temporarily omitted. Public opinion gradually reversed a bit. At the same time, we called the police. Thanks to Leonard's excessive hype, the police investigation speed was accelerated. In less than a week, the police issued a notice with blue background and white characters. Everything Scott said is true. He and Leonard are only father and son biologically. In the past 20 years, Leonard hasn't called him once. Hasn't given him a penny of child support. This showy live broadcast is just to force Scott to donate a kidney. In addition, Leonard is suspected of manipulating public opinion, spreading rumors, fraud, and rape. He will face further investigations. The whole network is in an uproar. The filial sons who spoke for Leonard at the beginning were slapped in the face. This whole incident, from occurrence to end, took just over a week. Not long, but only Scott himself knows how agonizing it is. Classmates' doubts and netizens' abuse. He also has to force a smile in front of his seriously ill mother, and be on guard everywhere, for fear that she will see the news. This week has almost worn him out. On the evening when the police notice came out, Scott finally unloaded his burden. 20 however, none of us expected. This matter is not completely over yet. Leonard is temporarily detained by the police. His precious son has no hope of getting a kidney transplant. On Friday night, Scott was working in a restaurant. An uninvited guest came. That woman ordered a pot of soup. When Scott brought up the soup, she asked, "Are you Scott?" Scott subconsciously replied, "It's me." The woman suddenly went crazy and poured a whole pot of hot soup on Scott. When I entered the store, I just witnessed this scene. Scott's neck and back of his hand were exposed and instantly turned red from the scald. This is not enough. That woman rushed to the next table, picked up the food on someone else's table, and threw it all on Scott's head. "Why won't you donate a kidney to my son? Now even my husband you want to get involved. You son of a bitch. You owe our family. It must be that your mother seduced my husband. Otherwise, how could my husband take a fancy to her?" Vulgar language is unbearable to hear. I rushed over and took my bag and directly hit her on the back of the head. The crazy woman was stunned by me. "Who are you?" "I am Scott's girlfriend." "Oh, someone like this can still find a girlfriend." Before she finished speaking, I gave her several slaps. She was unable to fight back after being beaten by me, and covered her head and was about to run. But how could I let her run away? As soon as I entered the door, I notified the police station at the fastest speed. Just as the woman ran outside the door, the police officer arrived. For causing trouble and intentionally injuring others, she will also be detained. After dealing with the woman, I turned to look at Scott. Oh no. My little dog seems to be autistic again. 21 Scott stood still without moving. There were still vegetables and egg drop on his body. Hot soup dripped down from his hair one drop at a time. So dirty. His skin was also scalded and painful. There were many onlookers, including colleagues. But everyone was watching from a distance, and no one came forward. During these days of part-time work, Scott felt it. Even though the police had cleared his name, everyone was still reluctant to contact him. People are such complex creatures. They talk freely online, but offline they prefer to avoid trouble. He heard whispers. Well, maybe we should fire him. That's right. If we keep him here, there might be this kind of trouble in the future. Anyway, I don't really believe the police announcement. If he can drive a father to that extent, can he be completely innocent? Shh. Be quiet. Don't let him hear it. Scott felt angry and embarrassed. He was like an isolated island. Isolated by everyone. Just at this moment, someone passed through those criticisms and held his hand tightly. Does it hurt? I looked up at him, my eyes full of distress. 22 I first took Scott to the hospital. Fortunately, the scald was not serious and there will be no scar. I accompanied him to the police station to make a statement. The police asked him to consider whether to reconcile. Scott turned to look at me. I'm very conflicted. It's not her who is wrong. It's Leonard. But she insulted my mother. No. She is an accomplice. I explained. Leonard drew in someone else's life. But she pushed the responsibility onto the victim. This is accomplice behavior. Scott finally decided not to reconcile. When we came out of the police station, it was already evening. The moon was bright and the stars were sparse. I asked him, "What are you going to do with this part-time job?" Quit. Coincidentally, I got an internship offer from a securities company. I was originally planning to quit my part-time job next week. That is a large securities firm. Graduates may not be able to get in even if they try their best. Scott has outstanding grades and can obtain a 3-month internship qualification during the summer vacation. It has been very difficult for him to come this far step by step. I sincerely said, "Congratulations. From now on, you will have to wear a suit and tie every day." By the way, Scott suddenly took out a necklace from his pocket. I am familiar with this brand. It is very expensive. A gift I bought for you with my part-time wages that I saved up. What a coincidence. I just fell in love with this one recently and was planning to buy it tomorrow. I immediately took off the original necklace on my neck. Scott put on the new necklace for me with his scalded hand. His eyes were bright, like containing a pure spring. Do you like it? I like it very much. I took his hand and said, "Let's go. Let's go home." 23 at night. Scott was awake and by a nightmare. I got up and poured him a glass of water. Sorry for waking you up. It doesn't matter. I don't have to go to work tomorrow. What nightmare did you have? Tell me. Scott hesitated to speak. Nothing. You don't say it. But I can guess. He smiled. How is that possible? You dreamed that when you were a child. Your mother didn't want you anymore. Right? Scott looked at me in astonishment. I said I could guess. How do you know? Because I understand you. Scott. You always feel that you shouldn't have come into this world. You regard yourself as the source of your mother's pain. The thing you fear the most is that even your mother doesn't want you anymore. From childhood to adulthood. You study hard and be a good child, just to make her happy. Right? Scott is breathing rapidly, which is a sign of emotional excitement. All correct. I reached out and touched his hair. Your worry is unnecessary. She is an amazing woman. She raised you gently and cultivated you so excellently. In the darkness, Scott didn't speak. He rested his face on my thigh, letting me comb his soft short hair with my fingers. Sister, I always have a crazy thought. What? Will I become cleaner if I let out half of my blood? You are already spotlessly clean. His breathing froze, and he buried his face even deeper. After a while, I felt the wetness on my leg. It's Scott's stairs. My little dog buried his head and cried quietly. Serena, thank you for understanding me. 24 Yvonne once said that when your younger brother suddenly stopped calling you sister, it's a signal of his crazy love for you. Since starting the internship, Scott seldom calls me sister, only occasionally in bed. When deliberately flirting, will he call out once or twice? Our lives return to calm. People like Leonard don't come to disturb us anymore. But one day, when I came out of the company, I accidentally ran into Wyatt. He is talking to Scott. Scott came to pick me up from work today. He is wearing a suit. His legs are long and straight, and he is extremely outstanding in the crowd. Neither of them saw me. I went around behind the door and just happened to hear their conversation. Wyatt said, Serena just treats you like a dog. Do you really think she likes you? Scott remained unmoved. Even if it's a dog, there are differences between being favored and not being favored. Brother, look at my current situation, and you'll know. Falling in love with an old woman, like her who is fickle in love, will not end well. Scott sneered. 28 is an old woman. Can't you live to be 28? Or are you going to die when you're 30? Wyatt was choked by him. Damn it. What kind of love potion did Serena give you to make you so fascinated? You're not the same as me. I'm not the same as you. Then what are you doing here looking for her? I'm looking for her. Looking for her to get back together. Right? Scott saw through it at a glance. You can't hide it from me. Wyatt was extremely guilty. But he denied it verbally. I'm not. I don't care. Scott interrupted him. After I got together with Serena, I've been puzzled by one thing. How could you, Wyatt, bear to break up with her? She is so good, understanding, calm and intelligent. Where else can you find a girlfriend similar to her? Fortunately, you were blind, which gave me the opportunity to take advantage. Stimulated by him, Wyatt was furious. You are the one who is blind. She just has a little money. I can't stand her arrogant look the most. If you had money, you would be even more arrogant than her. And when she is not going well at work, she likes to lose her temper. Isn't this a shortcoming? Losing temper is also very cute. When there is pressure, it should be released. Sometimes she is insatiable and acts like a lunatic. Wyatt realized that he shouldn't have said this and stopped. Scott suddenly chuckled. On the contrary, I think she gets tired too easily. I feel sorry for her and dare not torment her too much. Wyatt, don't blame women if you are not capable yourself. Wyatt was already furious and asked loudly. Scott, you said that you wouldn't date someone 8 years older. Scott said expressionlessly. Woof. 25 time flies. In a blink of an eye, Scott graduated from his senior year. I have been with him for 2 years. He started his own business from the second half of his junior year, and accumulated ability and wealth. But compared with the Song family, it is far from enough. On the day his mother was completely cured, I took out the original relationship agreement. Until the mother is discharged from the hospital, both parties have the right to end this relationship. Scott was stunned. What do you mean? It's over? This is what you proposed back then. I was ignorant at that time. You were already rich. And Aunt has been discharged from the hospital. Scott's body swayed, and he could barely stand. He grabbed my wrist, his voice trembling. What do you mean? I'm asking you. Serena. What on earth do you mean? Don't you want me anymore? Scott. I said to him word by word. I'm going on a blind date. I'm 30. To secure my position as a shareholder of Songs, I need a boost. But Scott, for the time being, can't help me. Last month, Dad brought up the matter of blind dates. I have an elder brother above me and a younger brother below me. Each of them is more suitable for inheriting the family business and being the largest shareholder than me. However, I insist on fighting for it. I want to be the heir. Ambition and Scott cannot be had at the same time. I thought about it for a month. In the end, I chose my ambition. Scott was almost on the verge of collapse. I can help you. Just wait for me a little longer. After I finish this project, the company will become even stronger. Then I will definitely be able to help you. It's too late. In fact, I am also very reluctant to part with Scott. He is the younger man I have been in love with for the longest time. So long that I have already regarded him as my real boyfriend. However, for me, love is ultimately not as important as career. Please, give me some more time. I said apologetically. I'm sorry. I have to move forward and can't stay where I am. Scott rushed over like crazy and tore off my clothes and skirt. He was fiercer than ever before, recklessly leaving marks on my body, as if he wanted to devour me alive. I understand his pain. I accept the stormy night. We stayed up all night. At sunrise the next day, I left quietly. Blind dates are like a game of chess, an exchange of resources. At every meal with the blind date, we toast and chat only about interests and not about romance. The cooperation is reached. I got married in a flash. Please don't be surprised. Since I have chosen ambition, I must endure all of this. On the wedding day, someone said that Scott had come. I didn't see him, but it seemed that I saw his back. In the 6 months since we separated, he has been growing rapidly. He is like a terrifying root system, frantically absorbing nutrients and constantly strengthening himself and the company. He is growing faster than anyone expected. Half a year after marriage, I became the largest shareholder of Songs as I wished. I still don't have much to talk about with my husband, but I know that he is scheming against me. Our marriage is originally full of interests. It's not surprising that he will scheme against me. If he is a bit more restrained, I will pretend not to know. But he is too greedy. He actually wants to take a share of what I have. Doesn't he know that if it weren't for this share, I would never have married him? He can't even compare to one of Scott's fingers. Why am I thinking of Scott again? I looked out of the window with some fatigue. In the end of all the intrigues and calculations, it's almost coming to an end. Today, either I live or my husband dies. Someone has to win. At the shareholders' meeting, the atmosphere was extremely tense, and no one was willing to give in. My husband set up a meticulous plan and almost pushed me to a dead end. Just at the moment when he was about to win, suddenly someone pushed the door open and entered. Scott stood at the door and slowly announced, "Mr. Key, prepare for crisis public relations." My husband was stunned. Immediately after, the phones of him and his subordinates rang non-stop like they were exploding. The latest product launched by his family company is suspected of stealing creativity and deceiving consumers and has been pushed to the forefront. He glared at Scott angrily. "Did you do this? Are you Serena's ex-boyfriend?" Scott gave an ambiguous smile. The wind lifted the curtain, and he strode towards me. This scene reminded me of when he participated in the competition back then. Also like this. He ran towards the finish line, and me full of high spirits. "Sister, can you divorce him now?" Scott half knelt beside my leg, his eyes full of sincerity. General Key is deeply mired in a public relations crisis and is extremely distressed. On the day of divorce, he pointed at my nose and scolded, "You have been calculating me from the very beginning. Only now you know?" I said in surprise, "You shouldn't be so stupid. Have you become brainless from having mistresses one after another outside?" He wanted to hit me. I directly took out a stack of photos. They were all images of him having private meetings with women outside. If you don't want these photos exposed, be honest and get divorced obediently. He no longer made any rash moves. If a scandal broke out at this time, their family company would be completely doomed. I successfully got the divorce certificate. In order to buy back the photos, General Key also paid me a large sum of hush money. Getting married and divorced quickly. Some people say I am a joke in the circle. But I don't care. And neither does Scott. In what era is it still to mock women with the yoke of marriage? Scott asked me as if taking credit. I did a good job coordinating this time. Right? Very good. You are indeed someone who has been with me for 2 years. I kissed him. Scott has always been the best. Thanks to your guidance. In the past, Scott followed me and learned a lot. He is intelligent and fights business battles beautifully, and without leaving a trace. Scott held me and sat on him, kissing all over my body in an infatuated way. The living room was messed up by us. He then held me and walked into the bedroom. With every step, I was filled with fear and truly felt his scorching heat. Is he the 13th one? Who? Some sanity returned. I realized that he was asking about my ex-husband. The little dog is jealous again. No. He isn't. I find him dirty and didn't let him touch me. You are the last one. Scott's gloom was swept away. Did you miss me? Yes. I missed you very much too. The deep voice was by my ear. After holding back for a year. Sister. Love me. He took my hand and moved it down from his abdominal muscles. Sister. When I miss you, I do this. We indulged in the darkness and reviewed each other's bodies. After a long suppressed desire was released, Scott's eyes became even redder. Like a hungry ghost who hasn't had enough. Sister. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Serena. He continued to murmur. I said, I love you too. 27 later. I told Scott. When I got married quickly, I was already prepared for divorce. My original plan was to leave after becoming the largest shareholder and then find him to get back together. Scott was a little surprised. So, I have always been in your plan. Yes. Why didn't you tell me? If I told you in advance, you might become slack. You wouldn't be able to grow so fast and wouldn't be able to coordinate so well this time. I was sad for a year. You deserve it. Who told you to despise me so much before? When did I despise you? 8 years older. No one would date such a person. I uttered this sentence slowly. Scott was stunned. How do you know? That day, Wyatt forgot to hang up the voice call. I heard everything you said. I was wrong. In fact, that sentence of mine was to satirize Wyatt. I can't stand his behavior of giving skins to us even though he has a girlfriend. It really wasn't aimed at you. I know. It's all in the past. At first. Because of that sentence. My impression of Scott was that he was casual and arrogant. Approaching him did mean having fun and then dumping him. But after in-depth contact, I found that he is not such a person. He is worthy of being treated sincerely. Sister. Scott suddenly took out a dime and rang and knelt on one knee. Marry me. Okay? I asked calmly. Have you thought it through? I am 8 years older than you, and this is my second marriage. I have thought it through long ago. None of these are problems. He kissed the back of my hand. Serena. Please let me love you forever. Today's sunset is very beautiful. Just like the day he stopped my car. I raised a smile and said, okay.